Hey, what's up, PTX fam? This is Shiblord or Neil here from my weekly community AMA with the ProtocolX fam here every single week, same time, same place, 8 p.m. UTC on Mondays, on this beautiful day of August 29, 2022 at 8 p.m. UTC, or I believe it's in the morning at some regions of the world, so shout out to you guys as well. This is our opportunity to give you guys any updates from the previous week, let you know what's happening going forward and right now, but also, of course, give you the opportunity to ask any questions that you might have to the team very directly. You can either feel free to request to speak on here, to simply raise your hand and I'll bring you up live, or if you prefer to simply type your questions to that AMA Questions Weekly channel, it's just above the AMA stage channel here in our Discord, and we'll answer the questions for you. We have just started doing AMAs on Fridays on Twitter Spaces as well. We're trying to build that up, kind of expand the audience a little bit. Even though there aren't a ton of new investors in crypto, there's at least opportunity to find a couple people out there during this type of market that maybe are just drifting through the Twitter Spaces so that can better grow our community. I also want to say, hey, that we do have the Telegram up and running. So if you guys are not a part of our now community Telegram, please try to become a part of that as well. That'll be a good thing for you guys to all kind of just take place in. I know we're primarily a Discord, but we did expand it out to the community on TG as well. We currently are at 534 members. I know Matt's been doing a lot of work over there, so great for that, as well as Boris and all the other mods. So shout out to everyone on that end. I'm not the biggest fan of Telegram, so I'll pop in every once in a while just to make sure everything's going the way it should. And I generally kind of stick to the Discord and then just check base on the TG side. But first, I just want to say, hey, obviously we launched last week, some ups, some downs, some sideways, whatever you want to call it, but we are still excited and happy and motivated and still building towards what our initial goal was, which is that becoming obviously a long-term sustainable passive income stream on a couple different levels in this ecosystem on DeFi, right? So there's been a few things that happen. I'm not one ever trying to blame the markets, but hopefully, no one took too big of a hit there because the markets did have the floor fall out for them again a couple days ago, but then they started to come back today. So no real worries there. We're just in a bear market. We got to keep building, keep growing, and keep, maintaining the true vision, but also fine tune things as we go along. Obviously, there's always ways to improve. Nobody's perfect, and that's certainly involving us as well. So without further ado, what is happening? What's going on here? What's going to be the new things that we're implementing, right? So that's the biggest questions that I'm here to answer today on this AMA. So first, I'll say a couple different things. So the when marketing, that whole line is coming into fruition. We are currently working with a pretty large scale crypto marketing firm that generally does like a little bit of, they'll help out for pay, obviously, for little tiny pieces of different things, but they also do large consulting, basically management. And these are 8 to 10 weeks generally, and they are not, they're not little. We're not talking like 10,000, we're talking 6-figure over 8 to 10 weeks kind of marketing venture. And that's what we're looking into now. We're building a plan with them, kind of taking their guidance, but also structuring it towards our own audience. Like, for example, maybe for us, Instagram isn't the huge thing right now, but Twitter is, right? So we can kind of structure it as we want to, but it'll help us get listed on CMC, on CG, get us trending in all sorts of places, and obviously bring the volume to where we need it to be, while also building and promoting not only our product, but also some of the larger giveaways that we'll be going into here in a while. That'll be for the basically long-term, hold buys, stuff like that there. So those are going to be the differences of marketing coming up. We're really going to try to dive into the space. It is a little bit, I could be real with you guys, it's a little bit uneasy knowing for a fact, and even reading a report this morning, that the volume into crypto is about 50% of what it was, I believe, from the week before, from last week. So it's low in crypto. The volume is very, very low right now. And that's a concern, right? That's not a good thing for anybody who's trying to grow in DeFi. But that being said, you have to still make these moves, because if you sit here afraid and sit on your hands for too long, then you just bleed out and fail. And that's not going to be what we do here. So we got to keep growing. Definitely talk to a variety of different people and different ways to build and structure our decks. Hopefully that'll be going live sooner rather than later, so that we can have some different opportunities there for people to maybe even stake their tokens for a longer period of time at some rate of return. That'll kind of reward those who want to hold for a long period of time, because the quick flippers, we saw them come in and go out. And that's okay. Like I've mentioned in, the 40 plus AMAs, nothing I could do about that. It is what it is. If they want to flip and leave, or they expect 100 times and bounce, and that didn't happen, so that's on them. I'm not overly concerned about that, to be perfectly honest. But there has to be better volume, there has to be better price action, there has to be better mechanics, right? So those are things that we can start working on our end there, and that we will be sooner rather than later. Hopefully we get a good update for our full built out marketing consulting kind of plan of action here in the next couple hours, and then I'll start having them bring it live, and we'll start getting that going. It'll be paid weekly, so it won't be like 6 figures leaving from day one. It'll be a pretty good, safe mechanism for us. We pay it weekly or bi-weekly, and then we kind of assess and go from there. Because if we get halfway through and it's done nothing, then obviously we're not just going to keep funneling money into a black hole. That's no good for anybody either. So it's a relatively safe means of increasing our true marketing potential, which I love to see. And as I take a quick breath here, shout out to this. We have almost 50 people in here again. You guys are the best here, so thank you all for tuning in. Again, if you guys have any questions, please simply request to speak or post in the AMA Questions Weekly tab, and I will get to you here very promptly. But I'll go over everything I need to go over first in the beginning as well. So the other issue that we've obviously identified was without early volume, the liquidity would start taking a bit of a toll. It wasn't really able to support, especially the exit liquidity from last week, which has seemed to be, stalled a little bit. It seems like those who, wanted to exit quickly, for the most part, I kind of checked the bigger sales. They were pre-sellers and they exited entirely. Sucks, but, it is what it is. And I'm not going to sit here and cry over spilled milk, but quite frankly, it is what it is from last week there. So now something that we're looking to do as soon as I get enough people on to approve the multi-sig. So this is this is just part of the idea of a multi-sig. We have a 4-7 multi-sig, if you guys don't know. But in order for me to do anything with the treasury, we have to have 4 people sign it. Right now we have 3 available, including myself. So we got to wait for someone else to get online or on board here. It is what it is, though. However, that being said, we are going to inject more into the liquidity. I'm going to add another, I believe I'm going to go with 140 BNB, and then pair that to PTX, obviously. So it'll be about 80,000 total injected into the LP here as soon as I get the people online to approve it. So that'll bring our LP up a little bit higher as well. That'll bring it close to 200, if not just over 200,000, which is a little bit better. That's what I like to see there. I'm also working with the solar team to restructure how the taxes go and remove a little bit from the treasury and allow it to go more into the buyback and burn, as well as the liquidity injection. So try to bolster those 2 mechanisms here early on. I think that's a better thing for us. Let the trading bots do what they do. For the treasury, that's fine. We actually have a pretty good, luxury here that they're actually doing their job on their end. So all is good on all fronts there. That'll allow us to continue bringing in revenue, but also focusing more on the LP and the buyback and burn mechanisms that we definitely need. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat that either. So a lot of great things. Those are the 2 biggest things that I want to go into here. Once we get this marketing plan finalized, Brand has been working on a much larger scale kind of giveaway event. I'm quite frankly, maybe you guys have seen me in the chat, I am tired of the simple, win 200 PT or win $200 with a PTX. I'm tired of that nonsense. It brings in people who have no vested interest in the project. It sucks because there are good people in here that would benefit if they won, but our giveaways get flooded by, they're not literally bots, but they're giveaway bots. They're people paid to participate in giveaways, or they just simply, jump into every giveaway they can, and then as soon as they get tokens, they sell it. And before we went live, we ended up giving away like $8,000 worth of tokens, and almost all of it was sold immediately. They're people who have no interest in the project, no interest in the vision. They just want their free money and bounce. So I'm about damn tired of them small giveaways. It doesn't help us at all. So we're going to try to restructure it a little bit to something that's more practical and also benefits the long-term people and the long-term vision of our project as well. You've heard me say it a million times. I'm not going to sit here and beg people to hodl their tokens for a year. That's not what I do, but we want to give you the options to do that. And if you are willing to do that, then of course we want to incentivize that as well. I think it's only fair to the community, but it's also benefiting the project in the short term and allows us to build up to a long term. So those are the 2 main things that I wanted to go into is the LP injections that are going to happen here as soon as I have the people. As soon as I have the people, we'll get over 200,000 liquidity. But I'm just waiting. TikTok, whenever they come in there. So that'll happen at some point in the near future. And then, of course, the large scale marketing, 6-figure marketing, 8 to 10 weeks. And I would expect trending everywhere. Ideally, they'll get us listed on CMC and CG a little bit quicker because we'll have the additional volume. There'll be a lot of different elements to that as well. We'll go into each piece of it, especially as we get it formalized, because that's only fair to you guys and we run on this platform of transparency, right? So those are the biggest things that I want to go into there. Trading bots are doing their thing. They had a bunch of early gains and they lost a little bit during the nonsense last week, which is fine. Quite frankly, the AVAX one called along when it right before the markets went straight down, so they lost a little bit there. But hey, it is what it is. That's just kind of how these things play out sometimes. Over the course of any 30, 60, 90 days, they generally do pretty well. So try not to focus on the daily events, but of course I'm going to release the weekly reports just as I do anyway. Don't care if it's a win, a loss, that's irrelevant. It'll just be the weekly reports of what they've done so you guys can see what they're doing, and that'll be great for us all to be able to identify what's going on that side as we navigate these different waters here. So as I've been talking for 13 minutes straight, taking a quick breath and then checking, because I am the only one up here right now. So I am going to be bouncing back and forth between the AMA Questions Weekly channel and this here platform to see if anyone's raised their hand. So if you are raising your hand, please try to either tag me in the AMA Questions Weekly if I don't come back to you, or just wait a second and I will come back to you as well very quickly. So let me go make sure that I have a good break point of questions that maybe we have not answered. Let me just scroll on back. Okay, cool. All right, so looks like we're going to start with Ox or 0x. We have 6 questions here, so remind me to come check back and make sure no one's raising their hand as I navigate through these 6 questions from OX. Okay, some questions for upcoming AMA. 1, love the X-Share model where you can get passive income from holding the NFTs. Can you own multiple NFTs? For example, multiples of the same rarity, or even a mixture of commons, uncommons, rare, etc. Will these be released on BSC platforms like Refinable, or will they be on OpenSea or something else? So great question on that. Yes, you can own as many as your heart desires. You can own the same ones. You can own a mixture of them. So there's really no limitation per wallet. Why do I have it like that? Because honestly, it benefits the protocol for them to mint. So if you want more, I don't want to limit that. I don't want to create that barrier to entry for those who are involved in the economics world. Obviously, lower barriers to entry, create a more economically stable environment. So that's what we're going to work for there, is to create it so it's a mechanism that is available to all. I don't want it just to be available to whales or just to be available for, super limited. I want them to be limited in a sense, but also be very, able to be obtained by any of those who are wishing to do so. And they will be ideally not being able to be sold on any open market places early on. I'll upgrade that later, but here's my reasoning why. So if I have X amount of total NFTs and, let's just 1,000 of the, 1,000 of 5,000 sell, then I don't want that 1,000 to start getting recirculated on OpenSea or on whatever for either at the floor price or below the floor price. I'd rather people come to our platform and mint it here. Why? Because the consumer is paying the same exact amount, but instead of only a small percentage going back as royalties, we're getting that total amount that we can actually work with here. And why am I doing that? Because that money from the mints is going to go further into the trading bots and the outside revenue mechanisms, and it's going to really allow us to build a pretty large scale revenue share model. If those all were to sell out, ideally, then I'd expand the revenue share model directly to the trading bots themselves, because there'd be a lot of money coming in from the NFT mints. But to be clear, 100% of the NFT mint revenue goes back to the protocol in order to bolster the protocol. None of it's not like a 10% goes to team or anything like that. 100% of anything that's minted from there goes back to working for the protocol. So I want to stress that now. I should be getting questions on that. Haven't really seen them yet, but just to answer that just before I do. Next question. Let me check and make sure no one's raising their hands. Sweet. Okay, cool. Next question here. I know there will be updates on marketing during this AMA, but can you let us know what company will be providing the marketing and what strategies? So I don't know if I can go into the company name yet. I want to go into them there. If we come to a formal agreement with them, then they might want to put our name up there anyway. But it has been used by other very large scale projects, including a Rebase, very, very large scale Rebase protocol out there. So I'll kind of see what they want from them. I honestly don't know what they want to do, and I don't want to, make that awkward. But it will be a variety of strategies there, including listings. There'll be articles. There'll be different ads. There'll be trendings. There'll be CMC trendings. There'll be CoinMarketCap there'll be Crypto.com trendings. A variety of different things. We really be pushing it at different levels too. So we're going to trend and push the token early on, and then we're going to trend and push the larger scale giveaway that we're working, as well as the NFTs, as well as some other aspects of the development that are already going on in place here. So we'll really be pressing at a variety of different things over that course of 8 to 10 weeks to really try to highlight them at strategic times, because right now the token needs focus, and in a month the NFTs might need focus, for example. So I can start working it that way and really get them pushed out as they need to be. And they are an agency that works with these things, so obviously they'll provide some good guidance there. Next one is the price action. The charge has been pretty hard, and it's obvious that a lot of people jumped in the pre-sale for quick profit. Will you be doing anything to reward holders that haven't sold since the pre-sale, maybe a cool diamond NFT or something similar? Also, is there any strategy to buy back the PXBB? Is there any increase that? Yes. So the primary aspect so I'll go into this in a couple of different ways. Buybacks and burns. PXBB is based off of the buy and sales tax associated with that PXBB wallet. Additionally speaking, we want to utilize specifically the ego trading bots for buybacks and burns to really bolster that PXBB wallet. I should be getting a report from them here in the next 2 days, generally around the 1st and the 15th of the month is when I get the reports from them. They'll say, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to take out your profits? Do you want to combat it back in? Yada, yada, yada. So with them, I'm going to take out the profits, especially this month, add to that PXBB wallet, and allow that to kind of give me another 2 weeks of working with, ideally some pretty substantial period of, or a substantial amount of money to kind of facilitate different strategic buybacks and burns. That'll also support the PXBB wallet in general. Again, checking on the community here, make sure no one's raising their hand. Fantastic. And will we reward holders that haven't sold since the pre-sale? Yeah, we're working on that now. I kind of just went into a little bit how I don't love these little giveaways and these little incentives. So we're trying to build something that's a larger scale incentive. And the idea of that is to make it genuinely worth your while, whether you want to lock tokens for a period of time and have that benefit in a variety of ways, or alternatively have a very larger scale buy and hold event. We're talking like 2-3 months kind of thing here, and really let that take its course. But I need some more volume for that to really go live, and ideally I can push that live during the marketing side of it as well. Okay, next question here. Let me check on everyone here. No one's hands up. Again, if you guys do want to talk live, just simply request to speak. I am checking in between every time I read here to make sure I'm not missing you guys. All right, next question from OX. Number 4, I think a series of YouTube videos explaining how the rebase would be really handy, including how to buy the token and what slippage to use. Maybe these could be posted on the main YouTube channel and shared on the socials. I'll be honest, I didn't even know what a rebase was before looking into it, and I'm sure that many others do not understand as well. Yes, that is a fantastic idea. I should probably just put those together. I can do them with or without voice, to be honest. I can do them just with narration or just with text, as well as a simple screen share and post a YouTube video there. So I'll make a note and try to work on those, because I think those and some infographics will be very great for especially newer investors. Particularly, I don't foresee us going into a bull market anytime in the near future, but once we do hit a bull market, there's a lot of new investors in crypto, and it's very difficult to explain the same thing over and over again. To be honest, it's a little bit tedious. So some of those things might be clearer because you have a clear sense of mind, but also allow people to navigate and figure that information out for themselves before they jump into the discords and go from there. Number 5, is there one thing you could say someone who's not invested or someone who bought pre-sale and sold to make them want to get into the token and hold it long term? What would you tell them? So I would go into a couple of things here. Is we are in a very tough market. So if you are playing in crypto right now and you're in it for a quick flip, good luck. It could happen, but you're talking, less than probably 5% of projects out there really do super well when they first go live. And that's just the reality. That's what we are right now. So what I would recommend to someone who's either not invested or has left is identify a strategy, identify a team, identify a project that you actually believe in to not only thrive and at least sustain what it's doing during the bear markets, but also be able to build and grow for that. Once we hit that bull market again, they are way ahead of the curve from all the other new projects that will start popping up. And many of us have been there where there's a new project every other day that's 5x, right? If you have been in crypto for a couple of years, you've seen it. So it just is what it is. We're not there today. So find the teams that you believe in. If that is this project here, then fantastic. Ask us questions. Learn about who the team are. We're all doxed. I'm KYC'd. I will even jump on a phone call with you. Brand would too. Our team would as well. Learn about what we're building. If you like the vision, you believe in it, or in any project, to be honest, I would recommend at least dollar cost averaging into that. I'm not going to say drop your entire world and hope that it works because, there's risk associated with anything in crypto and the markets could take another big hit, tomorrow, who knows, right? So be cautious, do your research, invest in a genuine strategy and a team because the hype, pump and dumps, they're not a thing of a bear market. They're very, very rare. And the only way that they really do it, there's some secrets out there in the world that I've identified on how these people do it. So don't always believe what you see for how some projects may have a major pump. I'll just put it that way. All right, next one here. Number 6 for OX. Lastly, thanks for all your hard work. I could tell a lot of thought and planning has gone into making this, and I'm sure if it's marketed correctly, it'll eventually reach a wider audience. Hey, shout out to you guys, all of you, Ox included. Thank you very much there. Trust me, it sucked. Yeah, last week not blowing up. That's a little rough on everyone. Brand even took a little night at one point. He gets a little bit more stress about those things, and that's fine. We're all humans. It's a kind of different industry that we're in, right? So fortunately for me, I'm very, very level-headed. I don't really let emotions make my decisions, and that's done super well for me in life. And I foresee it's going to do pretty well for me in my crypto full-time life as well here. So shout out to all you guys. I'm not discouraged. We're still working and building every single step of the way there, even though some people already left. It is what it is. I'm not going to cry over it. I'm just going to keep building and, building this atmosphere that'll be beneficial for those who are still invested or who will invest in the future. I don't care if they, got a pre-sale bag and dumped it. If they want to come back, they can come back. I'm not going to sit here and hate people because they decided that they wanted to leave. That's not my issue. I don't really care. So shout out to everyone in there. I'm not an emotional person. I'm not going to sit here and trash talk people for any reason. So no worries on that end, on any front. All right, next question here from Sony Siege. Did our trading pots take a big hit during the Fed news? Yes, they took a hit. I kind of went on that a little bit at the beginning. They didn't really they didn't lose money, but it brought us back just above our initial. So we had like a 10,000 or 11,000 gains over the first week. It kind of brought us back to, I think, like a 1,500 gain, which that sucks, right? That's not fun, but it is what it is. We didn't lose anything. We didn't get liquidated. So we keep building. That's just what things are there, right? So things kind of do what they have to do here in the space. And I still believe in the trading bots as a whole. I've set some different parameters a little bit. Just kind of changed a few things to stop losses and take profits at certain points. I started going into the back trades all the way back to January and said, hey, if there was a stop loss here, how many trades would not have lost even further, right? So if the stop loss was at minus 3%, how many trades that closed lower than minus 3 would have actually recovered to actually go positive to minus 3, and it was almost none. So for one particular strategy, I set a manual stop loss at minus 3% because the data tells me that if it hits that minus 3%, I think there was one trade that actually came back now that I'm kind of tapping in my brain. So one trade over 9 months or whatever would have actually came back, and it was like a 0.4% positive. So beyond the 10 or so that just went super negative. So for my understanding of numbers, that's the way I did it there. I think that'll be a good thing, and I'll continue to refine it going on. I am unfortunately a numbers person, economics by trade and by education, so I enjoy that. aspect of it, and I'll keep, tapping into it, letting them kind of adapt, but I'm not going to change the whole book. I'm just going to try to identify things like that, maybe a little flaw, and tweak it a little bit, right? No worries on that end. All right, checking the main. No one's got their hand up. Sweet, sweet, sweet. All right, so next one here from Pabs. Would I consider having community members on a multi-sig in the future? Yeah, I've considered it. I'd have to really know those community members. So there's a couple people who are invested with us that I know, that I've known since maybe January, or even like some of the mods that we have that I genuinely know them as people. I'm not saying that I would. How do I want to word that? Not everyone is as they seem. I've learned in this space, right? So I'm not just going to have someone come up and say, hey, you are now on the multi-sig, congratulations. I kind of want to know them a bit more personally, and I want to know if they're going to be around to actually engage with the multi-sig, because if it's a 4-8, for example, then they can't do anything negative, right? Unless they convinced 3 more of my core team, right? So it's not a huge risk, but if they're not around, then it's just a waste of time. All right, so next one here from LD Bomar. Will adding liquidity affect the price? So not necessarily directly. So when you add liquidity, you're basically pairing the same that we have here. So right now we're looking at our liquidity of 122,888. If you divided that by 2, that is what our liquidity is. Let me just do some math here. So it's $61,444 in PTX and $61,444 in BNB. So when I inject additional liquidity, I'm injecting a direct pair, right? So I'm injecting the same amount paired into it as well. So it doesn't necessarily impact the price because it's still the same exact ratio in the LP. What it does do, though, is say, hey, if someone buys or sells a token, there's less of a price impact on that buy or sell. So when you're on PancakeSwap or Bogged or whatever, and you're going to buy $1,000 and it says price impact of 0.45%, maybe it'll be 0.2% or 0.28% or whatever. It'll be a lower price impact so that if there are different levels of sales, it's a little bit more of a stable price range for us to work with as we navigate the future, which is a good thing. I'll probably put in some... Yeah, Pabs, you got it there. So I'll probably put in some additional buybacks here throughout the week. I'm not going to put them all in right now. There are some pretty decent buys here today, so shout out to those guys who did. But we are going to keep working to keep the price at least relatively stable as we get into the marketing thing, and then allow that to take over its course. You also don't want to burn the entire treasury doing buybacks if people are just selling on it all, selling everything. But buybacks, especially at this stage in the bear market, once you can afford them strategically, are a good thing to do. All right, so next one here. Next one from LV Bag Supplier. Can we get PooCoin ads running very soon? They would help with the exposure. We are on it. We are on all that there, LV, that and more. So yes, we are working on all those good things there. From Tex, very engaged community members frequently become more interested in the project. What would you tell someone who hasn't invested or hasn't bought? That is the same exact question as before. Sus. Okay, that's from OX. So I've answered your question already. OX asked it. Just thought how that was also the same exact question. OX, I know you're not a bot, but I just had a theory that there were some bots coming in here and asking questions, but we're good. Okay, next one from JMHT. Would the protocol post or suggest some profit-taking strategies that people can use so they can make money while not hurting the protocol with dumps, small profit strategies in a way? So it's totally up to the investor, and you're never going to find me telling somebody how to handle their finances, whether it's, within crypto or otherwise. I'll say, hey, these are some things that you could do. That is what it is. Some people like to take rebases and kind of go from there. Others have something come up in their life, or they just want to do something else, so they cash out larger. I'm not going to, tell people they can't do that. Generally, the rebases is what I usually would do whenever I was in a rebase project, which I am actively in a few others. So I like taking rebases. Some of them I just have, and they're a big dog, so I'll name drop them a little bit. I've had Titano for a long time, and I don't even look at it. It's just in my wallet on my Ledger account, and I don't even know what's in there, to be perfectly honest with you. I just let it do its thing because Titano went pretty hard down in the price range at some point, and I just, well, I'm not going to sell it, so I just let it do its thing and work on that from there. So it's up to everyone, whatever you prefer to do, and really allow some of those different strategies to take fruition to your own life. I would recommend diversifying in anything. Obviously the mainstream markets are a little rough right now, so it is what it is. It's not bad to have some stables on hand in any sense. I'll just put it that way, I guess. Next one here from Diesel Grime, as I make sure no one's raising their hand. Since you're talking about adding to liquidity, is an LMS system still being contemplated? Yes, the Solar team is still working on it there. They had to basically help another protocol get live here over this past weekend. So we have a call actually right after this AMA to kind of go into those next steps, and the LMS is on that call for us to talk about as well. Staxit is not revealed yet, but I'll see if I can reveal some good information there. Next one from Amedo. Please, if there are any passive income engaging in the protocol community, if yes, what are they? Amedo, I'm not too sure what you're asking. I do apologize. If you could please try to rephrase that a little bit more, and I will definitely get you guys taken care of there. I'll answer that question. I'm just not sure what you're asking, so I do apologize. All right, so there's still a couple of people typing, and I'll let you guys get your questions out. If you guys want to talk live, of course, just simply request to speak. No worries. We have 52 people in here. I kind of like this size of audience. It's pretty good for all of us. Shout out to all of you in here. Some of you are very, very engaged in the protocol, and others I see you just stopping into every single AMA without talking a whole lot. So that's honestly cool too. I would definitely say, hey, get engaged in our socials, meet the fam, kind of do that thing, whether you like TG, Discord, Twitter, whatever the case might be. All that good stuff is coming. We're all building towards each and every aspect of that as well. So lots of good things here coming. As I'm sort of, filibustering a little bit, I will say, hey, I just want to reaffirm. Yeah, we didn't skyrocket and we're down below pre-sale. It sucks. I'm not going to sugarcoat that, right? But we're not out here sweating. We got to keep building. The same vision is still the same. Maybe tweak some things along the way to make it, a little bit cleaner in a sense, and give those who might want to hold some incentive to do so on a different level, on a different way, and kind of take those steps there. So trust me, I'm not, I'm stressing in the sense that I want to make it better. I think that's a healthy motive. I guess I'll say I'm motivated, not stressing. So I'll build that up there. We're working a ton to get these other things live. A lot of it's relying on those other people to kind of build up their end of it as well, which is fine. Those take time too. Things here are not a 1 hour and you skyrocket. So let the marketing people do what they do. Let the solar team do what they do. And we start building each and every step of the way here. All right, so next question here. Adamola, I'm sorry. Can the market chart be determined, please? And how can we predict it? I'm not sure what you're getting at there. I do sincerely apologize. Next one from OX again. Okay, I have one more question. When I see a sell on PooCoin, sometimes the sell is broken up into multiple parts from the same wallet. Is this a function of the contract? That's another great thing, so thank you. I am working on how to make that a little bit cleaner. So right now, it was actually a little bit worse. We cleaned it up like with a patchwork sort of system. It's still not great though. So now instead of it's the tax rates though, right? So the 13% buy and the 18% sales tax. So whenever one of those come into play, there is a split between that. It goes between the PXBB, the X shares, the LP, and the Treasury. So there's 4 different things happening in there. Instead of it doing it after every transaction, which was really messy, we had to just trigger it once per hour. So once per hour, it'll do those 4 sales at those defined percentages to each. Now, that's still not the cleanest way to do it. I know there's a cleaner way out there, and I've seen others do it, so I'm trying to work with the dev team, see if they might be able to clean that up a little bit. But that's all it is there. It's just the contract distributing those tokens to where they need to go between the PXBB, the X-Share wallet, the Treasury, and the LP. Get them socials popping. I agree. Stacks. What is the status of CMC CG applications? We don't know yet. They haven't yet responded, but I'm going to basically reapply anyway, probably tomorrow, and get that moving and get them at least pinged on their end so they can start working what they're supposed to work there. But we're still working on it. Quite frankly, they need more volume to really consider it. So that's kind of what we're working on with the marketing people and try to get the real organic volume popping and stuff like that there. So we're good. I wouldn't expect that today or tomorrow because we haven't had the volume that they're going to want. They generally want like 100,000 in volume daily average. So things like that are just things to consider. We're working on that on our end, of course. Jay ZZ, are we still in communication with a secret listing partner? I feel like that would be marketing in itself. So it kind of is. It's still an option. But for us to list on them, there's a couple different ways we do it. Either one, we have to pull our LP from PancakeSwap and then put it over there, and we have to pay a pretty decent check, right? So that is, that's a little rough. So I wouldn't. That's kind of something that I was bouncing back and forth through last week, and that other listing swap. The volume itself is way down too, just because the markets have been hard. So do we really want to pay 50,000 plus pull our LP on PCS and move it over? It's just kind of dirty. I don't get a good vibe from it right now. We can still do it. I just don't think here and now is the time to do it, if that makes sense. All right, next one from Ronan the Dude. Do I get a whitelist spot for a 6th place on poker? What are you trying to whitelist into? We are a fair market project here, so it'll all be fair, whether it's the NFT mints or whatever you prefer. It'll all be equal opportunity for us all to partake in. Sony Siege, a project I was invested in, paid like $50K to get listed on CMC, but got dropped a few weeks later due to low volume. If they paid $50,000, they definitely got ripped off by somebody, so shout out to them, I guess. But yeah, it's not the play. Next one from Kova. Oh, let me make sure no one's raising their hand. I do apologize. Sweet. If someone did raise their hand and backed out, I apologize again. Just been reading. Okay. Next one from Kova. Price can never drop below launch price unless excess tokens not from liquidity are sold, right? So pre-sale kind of cause that to happen. I guess if you want to put it that way, but not really. So that's kind of a different way to think about it. I would think about it more so that it really wouldn't matter. So if we launched it at 0.07 and I personally, without the pre-sale, supplied an LP for my own money, right? Just did whatever. And then everyone still sold. They bought and sold and do whatever, and they rebased and sold and all that good stuff. Then yeah, that would still deplete it. Now, obviously getting the pre-sale tokens, they already had it before the LP was established, and it was at 0.06. So then they sold from there, and it brings it down below the launch price. That's just kind of what LPs do when there is a sell effect. So generally speaking, when, for anyone out there who's just kind of, especially dabbling into the crypto worlds, if you are buying from the liquidity pool on like PancakeSwap or whatever, you are putting in BNB and you are taking out PTX. So now within that LP, there is a higher level of BNB compared to there being of PTX, right? So then that creates a positive effect on the price because there's more value on the other side of it. And then vice versa. When you are selling PTX to the LP, you are putting in more PTX and taking out more BNB, and then it creates another lopsided effect, basically just a supply variable. It's working within the liquidity pool and the liquidity pair to allow that basically proportionate rate to change. And as that changes, it has to readjust and reassess to a middle level so that it can be paired, because it is a pair, and that creates that negative or positive price fluctuation depending on the buys or the sells. All right. Some more people are typing, so I'll just let you guys get that out there. Heck yeah, we're already 41 minutes in. That was quick. And I'm just out here talking. Brad said he's still on the plane, so he cannot join us just yet. But that being said, it'll work out once he gets here. We'll start working on that LP stuff. So at some point tonight, you will see the LP jumping up a little bit. Yeah, flexible. You got to do what you got to do. It's like a small business. Next thing you know, you're doing accounting, marketing, sales, mechanic work, getting behind the old, refrigerator to clean out the dust. That's what we do in a small business. You gotta be able to do everything and make it happen, and be happy doing it, because that's what we're here for. It's what I want to do, and it's what I enjoy doing, especially working with you guys. Obviously, I started out as a community manager way back when for another project, so I enjoy kind of working with the community and going from there. But I also love the number side of it and the investing and all that good stuff there. So it's a double win for what I'm working at here. All right, cool. Giving you guys some time here. When big announcement? Good question. Good question. Well, first of all, I need people to land from their flights and not leave me hanging, because apparently I can't approve my multi-sig because I don't have 4 people online to approve it. So we will get that once it does. And then the marketing firm, I think they should be back to us today or maybe early tomorrow. They're in a different time zone than I am. So we'll kind of go from there. But not super stressed about it. And then we have a call with Solar here in 15 minutes or so to go over the next steps. So lots of good things working on behind the scenes and in the forefront as we get going there. I don't know. Has the AMA lost sound? Can everybody still hear me, or are they able to hear me, is a question here for everyone involved. I think I'm still talking.
You.
You can hear me? You're good?
Yep.
All right, cool. So it might have just been you, Flexible G. I do apologize. You probably still can't hear me though. So shout out to you. So, all right, cool. Hey, thanks for that there. One updated trading bot stats. I put them out weekly. So gotta cash in. I'm gonna tag you in something here. These will be the go-to place, and you will go into all of that there as well. So easy day, easy day. Next question from JZZ. I think we are the only rebase token out there that will now be implementing an LMS price strategy that also has investments coming from outside sources. I feel like we need people to know the LMS without outside investments can't sustain, and I feel like it'll be the first rebase token to do it. So that's a great point there, JZZ. So I know, actually haven't heard it too much in this community, but in other communities, people think just inserting an LMS is the solution to all the problems of a protocol. It isn't. I'm going to be very, very blunt about that. So why is Horde so successful? They came in and they had a new idea. So a lot of great things happening there. When they had a bunch of influx with their LMS early on, they bolstered their liquidity management pool. So that allows them to support the floor price over time. Now, you can also look at Liquid Capital, who did not do that, right? This is a new thing. That was their only thing that they were going to rely on at the time, was that LMS. Without that influx of money, which doesn't really happen in this market, at least organically, there is no LMS working with. There's no range that you're going to be able to fulfill. Even if you do hit your little max, your top range, it might not be enough to keep it close to the floor. So you got to keep those things in mind there. The LMS is a great thing. I'm not going to try to fight an LMS. I think it's a cool system there, but it has to work with other things during this market. I believe even somebody else used it last year and was pretty successful with it way before Horde existed. But it's a good thing. So I enjoy seeing all that kind of work out as well over time. All right, so next thing here. From OX, with the partnership we have with MDB, will we be using MDB Plus as a pair to stabilize the price in some way? I'm sure I remember hearing that in previous AMAs. I know their MDB Plus is based on XUSD, which is a stable coin with increasing price floor. I'm interested to know how that will be used. Yes, so that MDB Plus partnership will be our primary LP on our marketplace. So it'll be the secondary one in general. The LP on PancakeSwap is going to be the main one, but I will establish a secondary LP on our own DEX, not marketplace. On our DEX is where that'll be listed as well. Hopefully we'll get some updates from that there. Quite frankly, I'm not, that whole thing with the DEX, the team that's building it, they take time. It is what it is. I'm not going to go too much into all that, but ideally I can get some updates from them here sooner rather than later, but I'm not willing to give you guys a timeline on it because until they tell me it's done, I don't know that it's done. So I'll keep working on that on there, but that'll be our pair once we get our DEX launched. All right, so LV bag supplier. I did just answer that a minute ago here. It hasn't been completely scraped, and that's listing on this other launch partner, right? It still could happen in the future, but as of right now, we happen to just, one, it was delayed. They got back to us a couple days later after we went live, so it was either have you guys wait even longer, and now that we're on PCS, in order for us to get listed on there, I'd have to either pay them more money than we can really pay them, to be honest, or pay them an amount that we kind of can pay them and also pull the LP. And the volume on there is just not great right now, to be perfectly honest. And it's not their fault. It just is what it is. The volume isn't great. So, you know, we've assessed it. I've made the decision. We're not going to list on there right now, but it doesn't mean that we can never do it. It just means we're not going to list on them right now. All right, still got a couple people typing. Letting you guys work this up here. Hypno, I definitely would go check with your primary care physician. They do some swabs for that. So, we've all been there, Hypno. For better or worse, you know the past relationships that I've had, so we've all been there. So, let's continue on here. All right. So I'm going to let these questions kind of work themselves out from JZZ. Make sure you guys don't have any questions here. I'll probably start bringing this to a close here in just a little bit. But JZZ, when we hit 500 holders and buyback and burn with that increased price, or only burn, it'll just increase the percentage of holding. So it's not going to be a buyback and burn. That'll just be a burn of a substantial amount of tokens that we just want to remove from circulation. So there's no buying there. We're just going to take a bunch and send them to a dead wallet that can never be sold. Easy day. All right, cool. Let me make sure no one's raising their hands in the chats. All right, all good on this end. I'll filibuster just for a little bit. If you guys have any last questions, hit me up, because this is our weekly community AMA where you can reach out to us and ask us questions as we go along here. Good little turnout this week. Pretty positive on today's price movement. This weekend was not great. I feel you. So it's all good, though. We keep building, keep working. As I've just talked for 50 minutes straight, so trying to drink water in the midst of conversations. But that being said, it looks like there are no more questions in. So just as a quick recap, there is a lot going on with marketing strategies, with bolstering our LP a bit, with ideally some long-term vision here for people who want to hold for a long period of time. Give them real incentive to do so. And I'm an override brand. I'm tired of them dang little giveaways. So you can play poker for your winnings. That's better to do it that way. I'm tired of the little nonsense where we get a bunch of people in here begging for giveaways and trying to yell at me in DMs. So they're gone. So we have a lot of great things building here. Ideally, we'll get some updates on the decks here. I have a phone call with Solar here right after this to get a good update on the LMS and on the phase 2, which will be the revenue share NFTs that they'll be putting the contracts together for, as well as some refining of our website. Just basic tweaks, make it a little bit cleaner. I know there's some things on there that I'm not a huge fan of, and they put it together for us. So great job on them. We needed them last second to put it together, but I think we could tweak it to make it a little bit more user-friendly. So lots of great things working up on our end. And as we come to a close here, I just want to say, hey, I definitely appreciate you all joining in here for our weekly ProtocolX Community AMA. Shout out to everyone in here. Shout out to the team. Shout out to everyone who's been involved with the project since day one or day minus 90 or whenever you came in, or now or in the future. Shout out to all of you there. Thank you all very much. And we put updates out throughout the day as well as into the future. So definitely check in on you guys in the chats and hit you guys up soon. Thank you for joining. Catch you all same time, same place here in the Discord Community AMA. Monday, 8 p.m. UTC, and also Twitter Spaces on Friday. I forget what time I do it on Friday, to be honest. I think 11, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 3 p.m. UTC on Friday. I'll put out an announcement for that. Get the Twitter Spaces rolling. Join our Telegram community group. Give our mods some work over there. Shout out to all of you guys, and we will catch you all in the chats and very soon. All right, peace, fam.